I'm Rich Kutchman with Strategic Self-Reliance and Defense, and today we're going to talk about TCCC. Okay, we already covered in two previous videos tactical combat casualty care. So today's video we're going to continue with the March PAWS acronym. Specifically, we're going to continue with massive hemorrhage, the M. And remember, the March PAWS acronym is simply a way for us to remember the proper order of treatment, a priority list, during the tactical field care phase of TCCC. All right, massive hemorrhage is first because it's the most important. It's the #1 priority in combat trauma. All right, so today's focus is going to be on tourniquets. All right, tourniquets in life-threatening and extremity bleeding. I'm going to share 3 statistics with you guys. First one, after the widespread adoption of tourniquet use in OIF, OEF, so think 2005, 2006, once we started using tourniquets regularly, pre-hospital battlefield deaths dropped by 85%. Those are pre-hospital battlefield deaths from extremity bleeding, dropped by 85%. That's huge. Second statistic, don't wait for them to slide into shock. If you wait at the patient till the casualty is already shocky, they have a 9 times greater risk of death. So the take home is apply that tourniquet early. And then the third statistic I was going to share with you guys here today is simply tourniquets are safe, right? Everybody's worried about losing their limb because a tourniquet is put on. My first point of that is better your limb than your life, but you can reassure people, right? Here's a statistic to reassure people and reassure yourself. Studies have shown that a tourniquet in place for less than 2 hours is nearly 100% safe, okay? Now, once you get above 4, and certainly once you get above 6, ischemic tissue loss becomes a real problem. But under 2 hours, 100% safe, right? So think about it. In the continental United States, unless you're really remote, the chances of it taking you longer than 2 hours to get to a hospital emergency room is probably pretty slim. All right, 2 big names in tourniquets. CAT tourniquet, combat applications tourniquet. I don't know what generation we're on now, 5 or 6 probably. These have been carried by the military for a decade or more now. Special Operations Forces Tactical Tourniquet, or SOF-T. They both work the same way. So let's talk a little bit about how tourniquets work, very briefly. Right? Think about it. Arteries and veins are just like garden hoses. They're carrying blood instead of water. If that garden hose or that artery or vein have a hole in it, it's leaking. You're losing water, you're losing blood. If you need to stop that loss before your tank is empty, a garden hose, right? You got the downhill side is water's pouring out of it. You step on it, apply compression, water stops. It's the same idea with the tourniquet. You put a tourniquet on, you crank it down, that blood vessel that is in the arm, there's a hard bone in there, that's that, right? That vessel gets squeezed against that bone and it compresses it, stops the flow of blood, right? That's how a tourniquet works. Constriction, compression. All right, so that's why they work. The big names, I said combat applications tourniquet, SOF-T. They both work essentially the same way. Studies have shown they both work. Realize that these aren't the only 2 tourniquets out there. There's lots of tourniquets out there. Some work, some don't. These work. Studies have shown they work equally well when applied properly, okay? So I don't care which one you carry, which one you use in your kit, but pick one because they are a little different, right? Muscle memory, you want to build that. So you want to know, in the dark, in the cold, when you're bleeding, when you're woozy, which one you have and how it goes on. And we're going to go through that here. Pick one, carry it, train with it. Don't train with your real tourniquets, the tourniquets you depend on for your life, right? They get worn out, wear and tear happens. So always set aside a training pair, right? This is my training pair. It's orange. This one I didn't mark, although you can get blue ones, are good for training. I just keep these together so I know these are my training pair. wear and tear. You don't want to, you know, depend on one and then it fails on you at the wrong time. So, all right. Here's another point. No matter what tourniquet you decide, right, it's personal preference. Maybe you find one on sale. No matter what you choose, the one you have on you is better than the one you left at home. So keep one in your pocket, keep one close by, right? So that's a take-home point too. All right. Kind of goes along with that whole do it before they get shocky thing. If you think you need a tourniquet, apply it. If you're not sure if you need a tourniquet, apply it, okay? Again, the chances of you hurting them from applying a tourniquet are pretty slim, pretty remote. So let's do the demo on the tourniquets. Soft T, cat tourniquet. 1 point, remember when you get them, they're shrink wrapped, they're in their plastic. Take it out of the plastic, stretch it out so that it's ready to use, okay? However you're gonna carry it, inside a tourniquet holder, I just like to use a rubber band. So I've got this one set up. I've taken it out of its plastic, I've stretched it out. I actually want it a little bit more than this. I want it to be able to fit over my boot on my leg and to be able to do it with one hand. So I'm going to stretch it out so I can get it over my boot. Then it's going to be folded up kind of neatly. I put a rubber band on it and you can put it in your pocket. All right. But anyway, so remember, you got two types of tourniquets: hasty tourniquets, deliberate tourniquets. Hasty tourniquets done under care under fire. You don't have the time. You don't expose the wound, you just simply see a life-threatening bleed, you throw the tourniquet on high and tight, okay? Deliberate tourniquet, tactical field care phase, you expose the wound, you take off the, the clothing, you see the wound, you find it, you go 2 to 3 inches above the wound, okay? So hasty, deliberate. But either way, you apply the tourniquet the same way, all right? So let's pretend this has got a rubber band on it. My rubber band broke, so this arm's injured. All right, let's say I got shot right through the elbow. That's where I'm bleeding. You see an arterial spurt. You can start by direct pressure. All right, somebody's got direct pressure on it for you. Now I'm doing this to myself, so I only have 2 hands. But direct pressure, and then you open up the tourniquet. All right. If you're doing this, I want the red tab, the tail, in this hand. You slide it up over. Again, deliberate tourniquet 2 to 3 inches above the wound. Pull the Velcro tight. Okay? Try to get the windlass where you can reach it in the front. Pull this tight, attach the Velcro. Okay? 2 to 3 fingers is the max you should be able to fit under there. And then tighten. Okay? It doesn't matter if you tighten clockwise or counterclockwise, you just tighten. Okay? And I'm not going to go very tight because it's already hurting. When you get it tight enough that blood flow stops, right? You see the bleeding stop. No more arterial spurt. You can check a distal pulse. There's no pulse. I did my job. You put it on the little holder. You pull a little strap over and Velcro it. That keeps it from slipping out. And you see it's got a spot for time. You write the time. All right? So now you've got blood flow is stopped. You've marked the time for the ER doctor, the surgeon. Everybody's happy, okay? Now the soft T works essentially the same way, but instead of Velcro, it's got a buckle. Other than that, they're essentially the same. It also gives you a little fancy little clip at the end there. So instead of Velcro to hold it, you got the clip. All right, that's pretty much all there is to the tourniquets. All right, a couple other things real quickly about tourniquets. Now that you've seen how easy they are to apply. Again, if you're not sure, when in doubt, place a tourniquet. Okay? Do it early. Don't let them slide into shock. Put on the tourniquet early. Massive hemorrhage, extremity, blood loss, put on the tourniquet. If one tourniquet doesn't work, put on a second. Okay? Put the second one on adjacent, right next to the first one, just above it, closer to the heart. Put it on exactly the same way, right? 2 is better than 1 sometimes. A couple key points. Never put a tourniquet over a joint. So elbow, knee. Don't put the tourniquet right over. Okay. Also, try to avoid fracture sites. If you know they've got a fractured humerus, try to avoid right over the fracture. Okay. Just unstable, causes more pain. No reason to do that to them. Now that said, tourniquets hurt. If you've never played with a tourniquet, practice putting it on yourself. As you're cranking that windlass, it causes a lot of compression and it will hurt. If you're doing it in real life, anticipate that, expect that. Your patient's not gonna like you for it as you're cranking down that tourniquet. It's gonna hurt, but reassure them. It hurts, I know it hurts, it's uncomfortable, but it's stopping the bleeding and you're gonna live, you're gonna be fine, okay? Crank down that tourniquet, expect the pain, it's gonna hurt. You'll know what I mean when you practice. If it doesn't hurt, you're not doing it right, so. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. That's today's video. So in the next video, we will finish the M of the March PAWS acronym, and we'll talk about pressure dressings and hemostatic dressings specifically. And then we'll move on from there. We'll finish the March PAWS acronym. All right, so again, thanks for watching today. I'm Rich Kutchman with Strategic Self-Reliance and Defense, and I hope to see you in class. Take care.